Yeah, I want you all to listen to what Will Smith had to say about once you hit $1 million status, and then we're going to talk about it.
An amount of money that once you pass it, it buys misery. Once you have a certain amount of money, you can change people's lives. So it's really all people can think about. So it's difficult to make new friendships at certain financial points, right? In America, somewhere around $1 million a year, it starts going the other way where it's more problems beyond that. And you start getting into really an attack zone.
Absolutely. Everything that he basically stated is the realest thing that I have heard in a very long time, especially coming from a celebrity. And I can read between the lines when he actually says this is that he's basically talking about, in my opinion, probably his kids. You know, I can see that. I can see him basically talking about, his kids because, some of these celebrity kids can be very entitled. Very entitled. I see a lot of people, a lot of men are basically talking about that he's talking about Jada. I wouldn't necessarily say Jada. I would probably say the kids. Maybe she might be in there too. But I would probably say the kids because, these Hollywood kids, some of them can be very, very entitled. And I know his children, like Willow and Jayden, I think they might be at a point now where they are pretty much so making their way on their own. And I must say, what he said in this clip is the realest thing that I have heard in a very long time, and especially coming from a celebrity. And honestly, and I believe it, what he said, because you don't know who you are dealing with once you hit that status. You don't know if you can trust the people that want to, become a friend, just dealing with all kinds of people coming at you. And you don't know who to trust. You don't know who to trust. Friendships are limited, friendships are tested because you're going to have people coming at you all sides wanting to, can I get this? I need that. Man, I give it back to you. You know what I'm saying? You know, just all of the things that you just don't know. And then I don't know what type of person Will Smith is, but to me, he seemed like he's the type of person that may help a lot of people, especially family members, things of that nature. But again, you just don't know who you're dealing with once you hit that status, that $1 million status, you know. But I thought it was very interesting that he was talking about this because it's the realest thing ever. It's so real. People think that once you hit that status, that you are so completely happy. You know, some people may be happy depending on what they have going on in their life. If you don't have a lot of people that you are dealing with, you're not taking care of, you may not have those issues. But when he made this statement, it really, made me just really think about what he was actually saying. Because these people may have the money, but then they don't know who they can actually trust. You know, you just never actually know who you can trust. But I thought it was so real for him to just break it down and say what he said. Because again, a lot of people think that money can bring you happiness. It can. It can to a certain point. But if you have so many people in your life that you're taking care of and people coming at you left and right, it can be very, very disappointing. It can be very, sad, when you have so many people with their hand out, you know? But I just thought it was very interesting. But you all come below and tell me your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next one.